I would avoid packaged foods. Packaged foods are dead foods. And not only are they dead, used to packaged foods weren't as bad for you as they are today. The reason packaged foods are bad for you today is that they contain genetically modified organisms, especially in the United States. 75 to 80% of everything that's packaged contains soy, corn, canola, sugar. Sugar's genetically modified now. Sugar beets are GMO. The reason that genetically modified foods are so bad, there was a recent study that was published in the fall of 2012. It was done by a group of scientists in France, headed by a researcher named Seralini. They did a research study on genetically modified organisms, and they showed that after about 3 to 4 months, actually 4 to 5 months on genetically modified foods, the rats began to develop enormous cancerous tumors, literally as big as their whole body. By the time they concluded the study at 2 years, 50% of them had died prematurely. What they determined through the study is that genetically modified organisms cause cancer and they cause premature death. These same genetically modified organisms are in all the foods that we buy that are packaged. So I would stay away from those packaged foods. Now, somebody might say, well, I did some research and that Seralini study has been debunked. It wasn't a good cancer study. That's not true. Let me explain why it was a good study. The reason that it was a good study is that the debunkers said that they were using the wrong strain of rats. They used a rat strain that was called Sprague-Dawley rats. And the people that said it was not a good study, the scientists that said it's not a good study, said, and they didn't use enough rats. They only used 10, and in this type of control trial, you're supposed to use 20. Well, both of those are true. The problem is that Monsanto, which had formerly said that these genetically modified organisms are safe, which, by the way, they're the ones that produce them and sell them and make billions of dollars on the sales, they had also used Sprague-Dawley rats. They had also used only 10 rats in over half a dozen studies. So they used the same strain of rats that now they're saying were no good, and they used the same number. The only difference between these two studies is that Monsanto only carried the studies out to 90 days. The rats didn't start getting tumors until about 150 days. And so they pulled the plug early enough to where they didn't show any symptoms. It would be the equivalent of me grabbing you by the hair and dunking you underwater and holding you for 5 seconds and pulling you up and saying, I just proved that water doesn't cause drowning. But if you hold you under for 2 or 3 minutes, you might get a different conclusion. So genetically modified organisms do cause cancer, and that's been proven through this study.